Oh, finally a good old Sansa POV chapter. We haven't come across a Sansa chapter in like forever. In fact, let me tell you exactly. Okay, so Sansa III was chapter 28 in this novel. That is when she tied the knot with Tyrion Lannister. Oh, joyous occasion. So basically, 31 chapters ago. That's quite a chunk out of an 82 chapter novel, huh? Now, of course, just because we haven't read a Sansa POV for so long doesn't mean we have completely lost sight of her. In fact, precisely because she wedded Tyrion, we sort of caught some glimpses of her, here and there, We heard her say things and all that. Just we haven't had a chance to know what was going on in her mind. So if you, dear listener, feel starved for Sansa's thoughts, starve no more, for here it is, Sansa's brains in all the gears and cogs. But where are my manners? Welcome, dear listener, to the incoherent ramblings of an insane person online. We're reading A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin, and right now we're about to sink our teeth into Sansa IV in A Storm of Swords. There. So yeah, as I said, we're in Sansa's brains at last, but we don't exactly expect cheerful thoughts since she has just learned that what was left of her family has been butchered at the Red Wedding. And we have it from Tyrion that all she's doing these days is sobbing with dignity, behind closed doors when she thinks no one can hear her, and going to the God's Wood regularly, ostensibly to have a bit of a prayer, ostensibly. But yeah, given that those are her primary activities, is it any wonder that all she dreams of is her family and the God's Wood? To be sure, the God's Wood in Winterfell is what she dreams of, which is likely to be a ruin right now, possibly, according to the latest Winterfell updates. But anyway, so the chapter, here we go. The chapter opens with Sansa waking up from one such dream, alone in bed, as per usual, because Tyrion here is described as a bad sleeper, waking up before dawn every morning, wandering around the Red Keep, or reading some tome at candlelight, which must be really bad for your eyesight. No, but here, let me read you the passage where Sansa lists the places Tyrion is likely to wander off to in the weirdest hours. Here we go. Sometimes the smell of the morning bread from the ovens took him to the kitchens, and sometimes he would climb up to the roof garden or wander all alone down Traitor's Walk. Traitor's Walk. There. Which is kind of funny because we just learned, literally in the previous chapter, that Tyrion is still meeting up with Shay for a bit of the older hanky-panky in the most bizarre places, like the Dragon's Skull Crypt. Yes, there is such a place, you'll remember, which he does have access to from the kitchens, for example, the kitchens which happen to be right below Sansa's and Tyrion's apartment, because they basically expropriated it from old Lord Giles, or is it Giles? And that makes me suspect that the other spots Tyrion goes to for his pre-dawn strolls are also ultimately leading to an encounter with Shay. So maybe perhaps not the terrace garden. I don't know. Is it repaired? What do you call it? Is it protected from prying eyes? That roof garden? Well, the Dragon Skull Room certainly is, but what was the other place? Traitor's Walk. I don't know, that might be a bit too public, but who knows? Anyway, be it as it may, Sansa doesn't know any of that. She doesn't know that he's meeting up with his lover, who also happens to be one of her maids, Shay. Oh, and by the way, before we move on, Traitor's Walk, in case you forgot, is here we go, is a pathway leading to a squat half-round tower. The top floor holds cells for prisoners kept in a degree of comfort, such as knights or lordlings who might be ransomed, while the entrance to the dungeons sits on the ground floor. The other floors between contain rooms for the King's Justice, the Chief Jailer, and the Lord Confessor. The dungeon entrance consists of a door of hammered iron and another door of splintered grey wood. Yeah, there you go. That's how the Wiki of Ice and Fire describes it. Although we won't learn about most of the features of this lovely, fascinating architectural element until a Feast for Crows. But there you have it. Anyway, so what does Sansa do at this point? Upon waking up, from a terrible dream, she gets out of bed and opens the shutters, only to be confronted with a sky with some ominous looking clouds. Like there are two of them that kind of look like two castles, Those twin towers keep haunting you, Sansa? But then check this out. Soon the wind mushed them together, and there was only one castle where there had been two. Could this be a foreshadowing for something? Like how the Freys will collide, after Old Walder finally kicks the bucket, and after some unsavory internal squabbles, a few casualties, only one branch of the Freys will impose their supremacy over the others. I don't know. I'm sure I'm not the first to call this theory. Who knows? So the maids arrive. The maids, who, as I said, one of them is Shay. The other one is Brella. Brella, ever so discreet, because she used to be in Renly's service, and then none other than Shay. This arrangement is perfectly suited to Tyrion's new arrangement, considering that the previous maids were on Cersei's payroll to spy on Sansa and ultimately on Tyrion as well. So as soon as the maids enter the bedchamber, Sansa feels compelled to show them the clouds. Hey, look, as you do. Hey, oh, look at that! Don't they look like a pair of castles, all made of gold? Because sun behind them. Yeah, but sadly there isn't much time to contemplate the clouds, as Tyrion and Sansa are actually expected to have breakfast with the Queen, Cersei. An appointment which we're sure Tyrion must be thrilled about, except nobody knows where the man is right now, as per usual. Shay, who seems to really have some deep-seated respect for Tyrion somehow, because that's how I interpret her next comment anyway, because she goes, what if Tyrion is with his father? Maybe the hand of the king needs his counsel. To which Brella just makes a sound as if to say, yeah, right, sure. It should also be pointed out that this maid, Shay, does occasionally give Sansa a funny look, which we might, I don't know, interpret as jealousy, possibly, or viewing Sansa as a threat. Anyway, so as the breakfast type thing, the brunch type thing that Sansa and Tyrion are invited to is no ordinary brunch. It's with the bellinis and canapé or whatever. No, this is the pre-royal wedding breakfast for all the Lannisters and the Tyrell men. And Sansa, with a bit of resentment, points out to herself that, yeah, well, I guess I am neither, but I'm not a Tyrell. They made me into a Lannister, so that's the kind of breakfast I'm supposed to attend right now. There is to be sure, another breakfast meet up, but that's just for the Tyrell women, which means two things. A, Lady Olyana, can I pronounce it? Olyana, like a Russian. Okay, the Queen of Thorns. That's gonna be simpler. Uh, the Queen of Thorns won't have to mind her own tongue and will be able to freely speak her mind, since no one from the Lannister clan will be there to eavesdrop and report on what she says. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that this sort of Tyrell ladies' breakfast was Olenna's idea. And B, once again, Sansa is excluded from that branch and excluded from the little clan of fake friends, friends for hire that were used to be available, for whatever, games, gossips, and I don't know, girly things, hopscotch and romantic literature. I don't know. That bunch of girls I'm talking about, Alla, Eleanor, Mega, basically Tyrell girls who were encouraged to get all chummy with Sansa, but only as long as she had something of value for the Tyrells. So certainly not now that Sansa has been forcibly married to Tyrion, and poof, there go all dreams of laying Tyrell claims on Winterfell. So now they even pretend not to know her, these three gals. And check out what's scheduled for the rest of the day. Yeah, let me just go. Here we go. The wedding was to be at midday in the great sept of Baelor across the city. And come evenfall, the feast would be held in the throne room. 1,000 guests and 77 courses with singers and jugglers and mummers. Yeah, this all 77 courses we've been hearing about for ages now. So not bad, huh? And I'm sure that everything will proceed smoothly, just as planned, without any unforeseen events. Because this plan has been long announced, therefore it will certainly roll out and pan out exactly as planned, as our experience of these novels has certainly taught us. Right. Anyway, in walks Tyrion, followed by his PA Podrick, looking a bit shabby. Tyrion, not Podrick. And the first thing he does is demand some wine, because he's not prepared to face his sister sober. So there you have it. And he also needs to get changed, because his current attire is soiled and unkempt. Is this the day right after his rough and tumble with Shay in the Dragon Skull Crypt, do you think? We just read about that in the previous chapter, which is Tyrion POV. Be it as it may, Tyrion gets changed, and Sansa has a polite conversation with Podrick, who she realizes is actually terrified of her. Which is kind of funny, because at first it was Sansa who was a bit wary of this Podrick Payne boy, what with him being related to Sir Ilyn Payne, who's the guy who lopped off Eddard's head. So yeah, she engages in a polite conversation with Pod, something about the Payne, Payne, family sigil. And Pod does offer some kind of reply, sure, because heraldry is one of his majors. You remember, and we learned that in Tyrion 5, when they were waiting for the Dornish men to arrive, and then Podrick could decipher all the sigils from afar, the banners. Except that now all he can do is just stare at Sansa's shoes, because he can't bear keeping eye contact with her. So that's funny. But I would like to focus on something else right now, because of a comment Sansa makes regarding this attire Tyrion is wearing, which is a mess, really. And she means well. I mean, she's trying to be polite about it, but look at the resentment that Tyrion isn't very good at concealing. Okay, here it goes. Sansa says, and I'm quoting here, "Will you be changing into fresh garb, my lord? Your new doublet is very handsome." And Tyrion replies, "The doublet is handsome, yes." The emphasis here being on the doublet. As if to say, yes, I realize that you don't find me attractive. You made that plain enough. The doublet, yes, yes. Come, Pod. Let us see if we can find some garments to make me look less dwarfish. I would not want to shame my lady wife. You see, I mean, you tell me that's not resentment there. The bitterness, is palpable. Because I don't know if you remember, but when Sansa made it plain that she didn't fancy Tyrion, and she may never ever fancy him, he took it like a slap in the face. It's described literally as a slap in the face. It's right there at the end of the previous Sansa POV. So that would be Sansa 3. Because of that was when Tyrion wanted to play all magnanimous, and he went, "Listen, love, I won't even touch you until you want me, yeah? And I mean, like, really want me." At which point she asked, "Yeah, well, what if I never want you?" And there it is. His mouth jerked as if she had slapped him. So there. So he said, I think he still carried some resentment, and because I guess at that point in that chapter he was expecting, I don't know, like gratitude or whatever. It's like, "Oh my lord, you're so awesome," not like other highborn entitled guys in this universe we inhabit. He was expecting some kind of answer like that. But instead he got a metaphorical slap in the face, and I think he's still bitter about it. But he won't allow himself to be rude to her, because I mean, Tyrion's family has just slaughtered Sansa's family, so it's not like he can act all insulted. "Oh, why don't you fancy me? Do you realize that this is like the worst thing that's ever happened to anyone?" Yeah, I mean, he can't exactly say that, because no. but the bitterness is there, on the page. There's there for sure. There. So that's my 2 cents. Anyway, a few glasses of wine later, it's off to the Queen's ballroom. Yeah, for a few snacks, such as this isn't the usual extended food porn. Oh, there will be time for that. Worry not. 77 courses, need I say more? But yeah, the snacks here are honey cakes baked with blackberries and nuts, gammon steaks, bacon, just to make sure you have enough pork, fingerfish, Captain, what's it called? Birdseye, fingerfish crisped in breadcrumbs, what else? Autumn pears, and which, if you ask me, would go really well with cheese. Where's the cheese? Ah, yes. And a Dornish dish of onions, cheese, and chopped eggs cooked up with fiery peppers. Always these fiery Dornish peppers, right? Yeah, okay, so basically, yeah, there's onion, cheese, and it sounds like cheese and relish, or chutney type thing. And peppers, yeah, and pears, yeah. That sounds like a great, yeah. Well, you gotta have wine with that. Early morning, drunk. Ooh, is there anything better? So, yeah, all right. Yeah, there's a little amount of food porn. Good old food porn never disappoints in A Song of Ice and Fire. Always makes stomachs grumble. And there's also flagons of milk, mead, and wine. Told you, it's brunch, breakfast with booze. There you go. Plus 2 jesters for the price of 1, Dontos and Moonboy. Dontos is, walking around, because he's a knight, so he's supposed to be like riding a horse, except he's riding a hobby horse type thing, a stick, the broomstick with a head horse, and the horse head on top. And it's at this feast that Cersei hands the Lannister red cloak to Joffrey. Oh, look at that. It's been in my family for generations. Look at that. Look at that, Joffrey. This wedding cloak has been in our family down through generations. So she hands it to Joffrey, which is great timing, because just then Joffrey was staring at Sansa, which of course gave Sansa the creeps for obvious reasons. And at this point, we come to the famous scene where the groom is to be presented with gifts. These are not gifts for the couple, just for Joffrey and Joffrey alone. These are all mine. I'm not sharing them. I'm not sharing them with anyone. And so I don't know if you have managed to read something symbolic in these various presents, but here we go. Because you've got your good old Jalabharagzo, or is it or Jalabarho? Or could it be? Is it what kind of what kind of summer islands does he come from? Right? The Neo-Latin language speaking, or the English? I don't know. Or Frenchy, no, never mind. Jalabhar Gzo. Could be Ho. I'm not sure. Yeah, anyway, be it as it may, he's there, never one to miss a party with booze and canapes, He's always there, and he gives him a great bow of golden wood and quiver of long arrows. Nice. Fletched with green and scarlet feathers. Lady Tanda gives him a pair of supple riding boots. These are all the people that can always be relied on to turn up at parties. They live in the Red Keep, rent-free. I didn't read. Where's Lord Giles right now? Is he still pissed off about having been relegated to the janitor's room? I don't know. His uncle, Sir Kevin, Joffrey's uncle, Sir Kevin Lannister, gives him a magnificent red leather jousting saddle. Not bad. All right, you went all out on Joffrey for this one, yeah. The Red Viper, Prince Oberyn, gives him a red gold brooch wrought in the shape of a scorpion. A scorpion, which is poisonous. Or is it venomous? I can never remember. A plant is poisonous, right? Poison ivy. Yeah, it's not venom ivy, is it? So vipers would be venomous. Just saying. Why do I keep stressing the fact that Oberyn is a poison expert, or indeed venom expert? Maybe for some reason. Anyway, just saying, moving on. Silver spurs from Sir Adam Marbrand. A red silk tourney pavilion. It must be pretty huge. And this is given to him by Lord Mathis Rowan. Mathis Rowan gives him a whole red silk tourney pavilion. How big are those things? Lord Paxter Redwine gives him, get a load of this, a beautiful wooden model of the war galley of 200 oars, which is currently being built on the harbour. Which every time I read this bit, I can't help thinking how funny it would be if Joffrey pulled a Zoolander, If he said, mistaking the model for the real thing, Imagine if he said, well, what are you, stupid? How are people supposed to sail in this thing? I mean, look at it. It's no longer than my arm. How are people going to fit in there? But no, but actually Joffrey does understand the concept of a scale model. In fact, he goes, wow, that's awesome. You know what I'll do? I'll make it, not this model, I'll make the real one, my flagship, when I sail to Dragonstone to kick some ass and kill my traitor uncle Stannis in the process, yeah. Which, somehow I don't think he'll be allowed to do as a king. I don't think, no, you stay right where, nah. It's you will do no such thing. Anyway, all of Joffrey's courtesy and polite gratitude for all these gifts immediately disappears when it's Tyrion's turn to present him with a gift. I dare say one of the most expensive gifts so far, probably. A huge old book titled Lives of Four Kings, bound in leather and gorgeously illustrated. To which Joffrey just goes, what on earth is this? And Sansa, who has probably read more books in her last year in Winterfell than Joffrey in his entire life, and let's not even try to imagine how many books Tyrion must have read by now, Sansa's thinking, that's called a book, you bloody moron. In fact, not just a book. This is the book that should always grace the shelf of any monarch of the Seven Kingdoms, as even Sir Kevin Lannister agrees, Grand Maester Keith, yeah, it's spelled weird, Kaeth, but I'll still pronounce it Keith. What, you got a problem with that? Grand Maester Keith's history of the reigns of Daeron and Daeron the Young Dragon, Baelor the Blessed, Aegon the Unworthy, and Daeron the Good. How about that, huh? But Joffrey, Joffrey doesn't miss a chance. He just goes, "Oh, so that's why your wife isn't pregnant yet, because you're always lost in your books, you nerd." Which, to be sure, you know what? It was what on earth is that? Notification? Not interested. The HBO TV series gave Joffrey a more polite, if a bit dismissive sort of line. He said, "Oh, what's his name? Jack Gleason said something like, yes, we should all find, the time for wisdom." I think he said that because I just rewatched it recently in the search of a proper. Let me just close this door because that noise is bugging me. In the search for a proper thumbnail for this commentary. So yeah, there you have it. You nerd. And but Tyrion just keeps sipping his wine. And in fact, he doubles down. Joffrey does double down. Because that doesn't quite push the envelope of a bad taste quite enough by Joffrey's standards. So he gives us a repeat of what he said to Sansa during the ball held for Sansa's wedding to Tyrion, namely, "Hey love, don't you worry about that. As soon as I'm done with my marital duties with Marjorie, I'll come and pay you a visit." Yeah, maybe I can, if you know what I mean, I can show my Uncle Tyrion how it's done. Holy shit, can you imagine anything more tasteless? And obviously, the last thing Sansa wants at this point is a repeat of the reaction Tyrion had at Joffrey's jabs, because at the time, you remember, in Sansa's and Tyrion's wedding, right before the bedding ceremony, which didn't take place in the end, he said, yeah, whatever. Either you leave me alone or I'll castrate you. So, how's that? Wow. So, okay, I should probably say at this point that these dialogues are slightly paraphrased, all right? No, but Tyrion takes it like a man and has another sip of the old vino, trying to ignore that jab, which, by the way, was also cracked right in front of Marjorie's father, among other people, Mace Tyrell, whose turn it is now to present Joffrey with his own gift. And what a gift it is! I mean, lot number 9, ladies and gentlemen, an exquisite golden chalice 3 feet tall with 2 ornate curved handles and 7 faces glittering with gemstones. 1 face for each of the 7 kingdoms. A ruby lion, emerald rose, onyx stag, silver trout, blue jade falcon, opal sun, and pearl direwolf. Bid starts at 100. I'm sorry, I was not cut out for that sort of job. But yeah, nice. What did I say? 3 feet tall? Can you imagine? Now, let's spend a little time on this object, shall we? Come on, we've got time. Because maybe not the bow and arrows, the riding boots, the saddle, the gold scorpion, the silver spur, the tourney pavilion, the model of the war galley, or the rare leather-bound book. But admit it, gentle listener, admit it with me, you would love to have one of those in your living room, wouldn't you? I mean, that would be an excellent merchandising opportunity. Better than any existing Game of Thrones, beer goblets, ale goblets, type things that you can get online. Do you not think? Okay, so let's take a closer look, just for world building purposes. The Ruby Lion is for House Lannister. Okay, rulers of the Westerlands. Then you have the Emerald Rose. Okay, for the Tyrell. So that's the Reach covered. Then let's see. You have your Onyx Stag, House Baratheon. So the Stormlands. Okay, the Silver Trout. All right, Tully, the Riverlands. And Blue Jade Falcon is for House Arryn in the Vale, in the east. And the Opal Sun for the Martell, i.e. Dorne. And finally, the Pearl Direwolf for House Stark, so that's the north. Okay, first thing to note. Is that the official conception of the so-called Seven Kingdoms? Because the first thing that jumps at us is that the Crown lands are not represented, for one thing. I mean, because we all know that really the Seven Kingdoms aren't really seven. We knew that, and everybody keeps saying, no, it's seven just because of the faith of the seven. But really, for one thing, why are the Crown lands unaccounted for? That certainly is one of the Seven Kingdoms, isn't it? It's the capital. And I mean, right now, technically, the Crown lands are indeed represented either by the Onyx Stag or more likely by the Ruby Lion. Okay, I get that. But if, say, for example, only 20 years ago, under Targaryen rules, the chalice would have had 8 faces. Does that mean that it would have had 8 faces because a precious stone shaped like a dragon would have been placed right there? And at the time, it was still called, the realm was still called the Seven Kingdoms. No? Don't you agree with me? Huh? I'm talking to my cat now. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. So that's the first thing. But also there's a second thing. Well, the first thing or the second thing? Award yourself 5 points if you caught that reference. Now the second thing is that this is actually pointed out by Joffrey himself, although not for geographical accuracy, but just because Joffrey is a conniving little bastard, because he says, yeah, well, what about the Iron Islands? Okay, no, actually, let's take a look at the text. Joffrey goes, wow, cool gift, Dad, if I may call you Dad, but we'll need to chip off the wolf and then put a squid in its place, I think. See what I did there? No, because he goes, because I know, he's saying that just to piss Sansa off, because, well, with the north being occupied by the Ironborn right now, sure, but technically, the Iron Islands do have more rights to be represented on that chalice as a kingdom than, say, the Riverlands, nominally anyway, if size doesn't matter. Because really the Tullys were never considered monarchs in an official sense, unlike the Greyjoys. And in fact, we learn from the World of Ice and Fire that the Riverlands became an independent territory only after their occupation by the Iron Man was ended by the Targaryen, who basically kicked some Iron Arses out of the continent and back on the Iron Islands. So, yeah, just saying. So, really, it is agreed that the Seven Kingdoms, right now, if you really want to consider each and all of those territories as kingdoms, then the Seven Kingdoms are, in fact, 9. But, it's just apply some cognitive dissonance and keep saying to yourself, no, it's 7. It's 7. But anyway, the pièce de résistance, la pièce de résistance never mind. My French is rusty. Really, and the reason why Tywin has waited to be the last person to gift Joffrey with something is because the pièce, we'll call it the main present, the main gift, is the royal sword. Which we first saw in Tyrion 4, this same book here, Storm of Swords, remember? When Tywin summoned Tyrion, then showed him the 2 swords of Valyrian steel, one for Jaime, designed for actual combat, and one for Joffrey, smaller, more elegant, more like, for official ceremonies and whatnot. At which point, Tyrion asked himself, where could this Valyrian steel possibly have come from? And also, what's with this bizarre color on the blade? Because it's a mixture between the typically Valyrian black and some kind of crimson. But if you look really close, you realize that at a very fine level, those two colors aren't actually mixed, but they stand next to each other, in lots of micro rows of black, red, black, red, black, red, black, red. What's that about? Turns out that the blade refuses to incorporate the crimson that Tywin insisted to infuse in the metal, because Valyrian steel blades have a kind of like a memory of sorts. And besides, when you stop and think about it, what was Tywin thinking? I mean, I get it. You're giving you want to make Joffrey look like a proper king, legitimate heir to the throne and all, and yet you're giving him even more Lannister symbols. Crimson sword in red leather, ornamented with a row of lions' head studs with rubies for eyes. I mean, given the rumor spread by Stannis that Joffrey is exclusively a Lannister product, born of twincest, wouldn't it be more sensible to give Joff more Baratheon symbols, stags, and whatnot? Anyway, what do I know? By the way, rubies. It just occurred to me, Rhaegar was also fond of rubies. Some sort of continuity there. Does that matter in any way? Probably not. Anyway, so be it as it may, there's a lot of focus on these Valyrian steel blades in these Tyrion Sansa chapters. Yeah, this is not the first or the last time that we readers, our attention rather is drawn towards these Valyrian blades, Valyrian steel blades. Just to remind ourselves, upon seeing those two swords, Tyrion went all bitter on his father for not getting any steel. Bitter steel. See what I did there? Okay. So yeah, no, that was back when Tywin first showed him the two swords, and Tyrion said, "Oh well." He was thinking, so Joffrey gets a sword, Jaime gets a sword, and I don't even get a dagger. But Tywin had no time for that. He went, look, if it's a dagger you want, Robert Baratheon left his entire collection in the armory, so go help yourself. There must be like hundreds of those. He had some fancy ones too. So at the time, remember the question still being, where was that Valyrian steel found in the whole of, the Red Keep? So we put our thinking cap on at the time, because the mystery as to where Tywin found the Valyrian steel to forge those two swords was still unexplained. We put our thinking cap on, and we thought, could it be? Why not? Could it be that some of those daggers, left behind by Robert, might have had a Valyrian steel blade, and perhaps there was just enough for Master Mott, to melt and forge those two long swords, or long swords and a medium-length sword for Joff. Or is this dagger throwaway line just a red herring? Or indeed, possibly the answer to a different question? Ha ha! Dear listeners, stay with me on this and the next in this chapter and the next two, because all those questions will be answered. I endeavor to keep these commentaries spoiler-free, all right, as much as I can. And whatever reference I might make to other chapters and books in this series, it will be to past and not to future chapters and books. In other words, I'll be looking back and not ahead. So now you have my spoiler policy. So anyway, everyone is in awe of this newly forged Valyrian steel sword. Ooh, magnificent. Ooh, a sword to sing of, sire. Ooh, a king's sword. Ooh, generic additional compliment, sire. Everyone's going, oh my God, clap, clap, clap. Anyway, you get the gist. And Joffrey starts swinging it all about, becoming a real health and safety hazard. And he nearly decapitates Kingsguard Sir Balon Swan, not bad, while encouraging all the yes men around him to come up with a suitable name. And eventually the choice zeroes in on Widow's Wail, because no one appreciates alliterations like Joffrey. Widow's Wail, who Joffrey, who all the while keeps swinging the damn thing all over the place. At which point Adam Marbrand is all like, you might want to be careful with that. Valyrian steel is sharp. To which he replies, duh, I know. I'm no stranger to Valyrian steel, I'll have you know. And Sir Osmond Kettlebeck is all like, I hope you never use that sword against me. And Joffrey doesn't miss an opportunity to just go, yeah, well, you better not give me a reason to then. Ha! Until he finds the ideal target for his steely rage, the book. Maester Keith's book, Life of 4 Kings, the book Tyrion has just gifted him. So he slashes into smithereens. He slashes it into smithereens with 6 or 7 cuts, until the priceless thing is basically confetti flying all over the place. Ha 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 ha! What a jolly. See what I mean? And Sir Garland Tyrell intervenes here. Now, Sir Garland the Gallant, who so far hasn't given us any reasons not to believe that he's actually quite a decent fellow. Gallant, as it were, if you remember him from Tyrion's and Sansa's wedding. So Garland just goes, that's a bit of a shame, isn't it? There were only 4 copies of that book in the entire world, To which Joffrey just replied, yeah, well, now there are 3. I just inflated the market value on the remaining copies. In fact, imagine how much funnier it would have been if he'd just slashed the book in halves and said, oh, it used to be 4, now it's 5. Why did I have to be born so adorable? Did I mention that these dialogues are paraphrased? Okay, all right. Just No, but really, anyway. So this, that's the thing, and many other things as well. No, but I guess George R. R. Martin didn't really want to go too comedic a reading for this scene, So, yeah, there's only 3 left now. Ha ha ha. So what? Sue me. Take me to court. Particularly because of an interesting exchange that takes place between Tyrion and Joffrey immediately after this scene. See, this is where Joffrey just says to Tyrion, you and Lady Sansa owe me a better present now, Uncle Imp. This one is all chopped to pieces. Ha! Wonder what might have happened to it. And at this point, everyone expects some jab from Tyrion, as customary, because we know how quick-witted Tyrion is. But mysteriously, Tyrion simply proposes a new gift that doesn't seem to have any potentials for puns or jokes. He just goes, oh, new gift, you say? Perhaps a knife, sir? A dagger? Maybe to match your sword? A dagger of the same fine Valyrian steel? Maybe with a dragon bone hilt, say? And Joffrey's taken aback, because he was expecting an attempt at making him walk right into some jab, at which point he would have had to have his uncle's tongue cut off. But no, just a genuine offer for an actual gift. That was unexpected. So he gives him a sharp look and then goes, okay, yeah, sure, a dagger, yeah, to match my sword, good. No, I don't want to, I want a gold hilt with rubies in it. Dragonbone is too plain. Which, aside from the fact that I refuse to believe that in this universe, a hilt made from the bones of an extinct animal is considered plain. What just happened here between these two? What does this dialogue point to? A Valyrian steel dagger. You would want one of those, nephew Geoffrey. Is that what you were referring to when you used to handle one of those? When you said you were not a stranger to Valyrian steel? Interesting. Okay, even though the explanation to this exchange is literally one chapter away, and we're not getting an in-depth interpretation from Sansa right now, because the gal is not even able to process the conversation she just witnessed, as she's just as confused as Joffrey is. But what Tyrion, what Tyrion has just said. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about this whole Valyrian blade business for now. Because brunch is over now. Yeah, I say brunch because the whole concept of brunch is, as I said, basically breakfast and booze. So yeah. And of those two items, it is the latter that Tyrion has really made the most of. Just a few glasses of the old vino. But who's counting? And it's at this point, as the guests make their way to their transportations, which will take them to the great sept of Baelor across the city. It's at this point that the Martell couple, Oberyn and Ilaria, catch up with the Lannister couple. I'm saying Martell couple, even though Prince Oberyn and Ilaria Sand aren't actually married. In fact, back in Tyrion 5, Oberyn introduced her with these words: Ilaria Sand, mine own paramour. And Sansa is actually impressed by this woman. I mean, she's in awe. She remembers her maid telling her that Ilaria was basically a glorified sex worker when Oberyn met her, and baseborn at that. And now she's pretty much a princess, holding her head high, even when face to face with the queen. Wow, things sure are different in Dorne. And I said Sansa's maid confided all that to her, but this is no ordinary maid we're talking about. It's actually Shae. So even though Sansa might think that all she heard about Ilaria Sand might just be maid's gossip, something tells me Shae might actually have heard the whole story from Tyrion himself during one of their secret rendezvous. And I also get the impression that Shae might have said all that while thinking, damn, see how far up can a woman can climb, in a woman in the position of Ilaria Sand. How far up the social ladder, if only, a woman in that position knows how to play her cards right. Even giving birth to a whole bunch of baseborn girls and still not care one bit about being judged unworthy or whatever, because she still has the power, privilege, and all that of an actual princess. And she'll be sitting at the days at this royal wedding. Man, I have to rethink my own life and my option. Shae might have thought. But, far be it from me to put words in Shae's mouth, because we don't get a POV. We don't get a Shae POV. And I'm just saying, and that's all I'll say about it, that maybe George might be planting some seeds here, like a good gardener, which might or might not germinate. So I'll leave it at that for now. And just to further bring home the stereotype, boys will be boys, girls will be girls. What are the boys doing in the meantime? While Sansa is thinking about what Shae confided to her, the boys, Tyrion and Oberyn, are busy discussing politics on their way to the litters. Yeah, past politics, really. Because Oberyn brings up the book Joffrey has just shredded, Of course, he read a copy himself. Maybe he owns a copy himself. One of the other three. Let's not forget, he studied maybe he doesn't, because if he studied at the Citadel, he must have had access to what we imagine must be some of the biggest libraries in the continent. So he reckons the author seems to have been too kind toward King Viserys, a king who had a very brief reign and who apparently acceded to the throne by poisoning the incumbent ruler, who happened to be his own nephew. That's how the story goes, and that's how Oberyn interprets the story. Just to clarify a bit, the Viserys they're talking about here is, if you have read Fire and Blood or watched House of the Dragon or the World of Ice and Fire, this Viserys here is the second of his name, son of Daemon and his niece Rhaenyra, the Blacks. in the, House of the Dragons. And now Viserys' nephew in question was none other than Baelor the Blessed, who had the Great Sept build, the very same set where they're all heading to right now. A whole commentary could be devoted to this Baelor guy. Suffice it to say that Tyrion disagrees with Oberyn's, reading of the whole story, because A, Baelor wasn't poisoned. He starved himself to death for penance or whatever. And B, it wasn't such a bad job, removing Baelor from office, because he ended up neglecting the realm, busy as he was, being holy, praying day and night, washing beggars' feet, self-flagellating and walking around barefooted, doing that sort of thing, and then believing that he could perform miracles. And at this point, Sansa is horrified. No way! What are you talking about? I have it on good authority, the late Septa Mordain, in fact, that Baelor the Blessed was like awesome. He performed miracles and whatnot, Venomous snakes would refuse to bite him. Poisonous snakes? Venomous snakes? Venomous. I'm going to go with venomous, okay? They refuse to bite him. This is, and this is where the grown-ups disagree. Oberyn says, well, maybe they didn't want to bite him because he was too skinny. As a snake, myself, I would choose a juicier target. No, but Elaria assures Sansa that vipers did indeed bite the shit out of Baelor in the bizarre episode they're all referring to. Something about rescuing his own cousin Aemon from a snake pit. Long story. And the consensus, in fact, seems to be that it was actually the snake venom that caused Baelor to go a bit, cuckoo, loco, To which Oberyn just goes, yeah, in fact, one would expect this place to be filled with snakes, given how deranged Joffrey is. LOL. Am I right, Tyrion? Huh? But you know what? Tyrion at this point isn't taking the bait here. He excuses himself and Sansa and just hops into the litter. That's the sound of a litter on paved road. That will take them to the Great Sept. So yeah, off they go. In their litter, curtains closed, just in case some Kinglander might spot Tyrion inside and decide to fling mud and excrements and dung at him. Yeah, and not exactly the most, popular guy in town, Tyrion. Remember? Yeah, he set all those shops on fire in A Clash of Kings. But anyway, let me just rush. This is the chapter that ends with Tyrion asking Sansa, "Hey, do you want me to tell you just for just to have a conversation here, for the sake of conversation? Do you want me to tell you the details of how your family died, since we have some time to kill?" And she goes, "Yeah, no, I'd rather you didn't. It's gonna give me nightmares." "All right, then I won't." "Oh, you're so kind." "Yeah, I'm all about kindness, aren't I?" Sarcastically. But this is the end. But before we conclude the chapter, there's one more clue pointing to what is stirring in Tyrion's brain right now, because he's saying, because at some point she goes, Sansa tells me, "Oh, it's such a shame about that book. Yeah, but maybe Joffrey will appreciate the dagger that you promised him." And that seems to, awake something in Tyrion's brains, because he goes, "Oh, yeah, dagger. Speaking of daggers with dragonbone hilts and Valyrian steel blades. I remember that, this is still Tyrion talking. I remember that Joffrey had made an argument with your brother Robb." Yeah. Okay, so that's. But did he have any cause? And did he have any reason to also have a beef with your other brother Bran? And see, he's doing a bit of a. I mean, he could just come out and say it, but he's not saying it because George R. R. Martin wants to preserve the suspense. But just remember, it's all linked to this dagger business. But Sansa can't, understand heads or tails of that, because she's thinking, what is she? What is he doing now in this third degree? Is this some kind of Lannister trick to, trap me into saying something like, yeah, my family is so awesome because they're a family of traitors? No. I don't love them. I don't think about them because they're a family of traitors, and it is betrayal. Just loving a traitor is betrayal in and of itself. This is all I'm going to say about it. Sansa is saying. But Tyrion can't stop thinking about that dagger and Bran. Now, even if you're a first-time reader, I don't think at this point you still have doubts as to what Tyrion is referring to. Valyrian steel dagger, Bran, lots of such daggers apparently left around in Robert's possession. Okay, so there's all that. We have all these elements, but it will all be made clear literally the next chapter, which is another Tyrion chapter. So what say you? Do you want to follow me there? Yeah, shall we? All right, go on. Let's follow me there. If you decide to, Tyrion, the next chapter, Tyrion, was it 8? It's just next door, if you want to. If you don't, I'm glad you made it this far. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to do all the things that people do under such circumstances, and the rest. And if you want to follow me. Okay, off we go.